European countries are locking down their borders, beefing up surveillance on foreigners flying in. Here in the United States, we're paralyzed by political correctness. We're not even allowed to control the border. And Geraldo Rivera and MSNBC and others say it's racist if you're worried about Ebola coming here. This is literally like a spider biting a bug to paralyze it before it sucks it dry. Political correctness is Soviet-style mind control in this country. Meanwhile, there's German news headlines saying Putin reportedly thinks that World War III will start, that there will be a huge war with the United States. And hey, I just want stability. I just don't want to have World War III. I'm not pro-Russia. I'm pro-survival. And the West is run by globalists who are building a gulag archipelago here in this country. I'm a hardcore libertarian, constitutionalist, paleo-conservative, whatever you want to call it. And I mourn for my nation as its borders are collapsed, as our sovereignty is destroyed, as we're spied on illegally, as the government announces libertarians, conservatives, veterans, gun owners as the #1 enemy, and prepares for illegal war against us. And meanwhile, I have the Democratic Party attacking me every day through their organs. And I have the neocon defense contractor media with well-known establishment shills that I won't even name running around saying I'm a KGB agent. When I pointed out that our government, the criminal sectors of it, was openly funding al-Qaeda and the Taliban as a pretext to take our liberty, they claimed that I was secretly trained, the same people, in jihadi camps. And the propaganda is so dumbed down and so naked, and it doesn't even work anymore. But the system just goes forward with it. But I think about how dishonorable these people are that do this. And then I saw a Navy SEAL. I wrote his name down. He's been on the show. He's a great guy. Exposing Obama preparing for martial law. Just search Navy SEAL says Obama preparing for dictatorship. He was on like 6 months ago talking about how they probably killed the Navy SEALs to cover up the fake bin Laden raid. Really good guy. And I saw him on Fox News. I wrote Benjamin Smith believing Chris Kyle and saying Ventura is basically guilty of treason. And he looked so sincere on TV. And that's the buddy factor, because he was friends with Chris Kyle, so he believed his buddy. And you kind of respect that at one level because Ventura's my buddy, so then I back him. That's what it comes down to. But the truth is, it isn't about Ventura. It's about the psyop. That they could do this to anybody, get somebody who's respected to lie about you, then that person gets killed mysteriously before it can go to trial, and the media won't say that News Corps is running the whole deal. Fox News is a division of that, and that it's an insurance policy that pays it, and Ventura doesn't even need the money. Ventura did some land deals on a big ranch he bought where he made a ton of money, a bunch of other stuff. I mean, Ventura did not do what they said, and it's meant to destroy his name, and then they spin it like he's going after a widow and he's a bully when he filed the suit before Chris Kyle was dead.
Celebrate the spirit of freedom and liberty upon which our nation was founded at InfoWarsShop.com. Molon Lave is ancient Greek for come and take it. This popular design combines both classic Greek Spartan imagery with modern M16 assault rifles. Now available in women's tees and proudly made in the USA. And now you can protect yourself from corrupt cops with the InfoWars dash cam. It's your car's black box device that records all that the driver sees and hears. And introducing the Block It Pocket. It renders your phone undetectable while protecting your private data and your health. Or take back your privacy and protect your personal information by getting your very own Detractor cell phone pouch. So get incredibly high-quality, freedom-based products and help fund the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.
The tyranny is coming down. The God of this world, the power of the air, the power of the propaganda of the New World Order is intensifying. The great deceptions being stacked upon deceptions until the lie becomes a synthetic, false consciousness reality. That is what we face, ladies and gentlemen. On this live Thursday worldwide transmission, we have in studio, coming up in the third hour, the Obama phone lady. He gave us a phone. He's going to do more. She was here a year ago to be interviewed for the Obama Deception 2 that I never released. Now so much has happened, I'm remaking the entire film. And I have decided that I am just going to do what I did with the first Obama Deception. Films like Endgame took me a year and a half to make, working on it constantly. It's a 3-hour film. It's really 3 films. Other films took 3, 4, 6 months. It varied. This film, I've been working on Obama Deception 2 for 5 years. And I literally have edited 4 or 5 hours that's film. But I'm going to go back, take the most powerful parts of that, and then put new developments in it. And then I'm just going to sit there and lock myself. I've done this before. I've just got a lot of family stuff going on and other operations. But I'm going to have to lock myself for about 2 weeks in an editing room. Every day when I get off the air, do nothing. I'll be like Howard Hughes in his hotel room, literally. I've done this before, slept on the couch in there. We've got couches in the editing base. We haven't used them in years because I haven't been working like that in years. And I'm just going to sleep up here. We're going to just slap it together. That happened with Obama Deception, the first one. That was made in 1 month. 1 month on top of the radio show, everything else we were doing. I made that with about 3 people in 1 month. And so there will be an Obama Deception 2. My problem is I obsess over trying to make a super powerful film, and I don't have words to describe how evil the system is and how much bad they're doing. And then I want to obsess on proving every point I make until the film ends up being 5 hours long. It needs to be 90 minutes, super high-powered, and just crystallize and condense the information together to transcend Obama. But the idea of collectivism versus liberty, the idea of government by conquest, government by gang, government by combine, by monopoly, versus liberty, and those ideas. The film is very similar. The film is basically done. I haven't worked on it in 6 months, just sitting back there. Is basically Dinesh D'Souza's America, but more hardcore. Because it's the truth. I knew what would be in Dinesh D'Souza's film when he was on 6 months ago, before he got indicted. I was predicting on air what it was about, and he was saying, yes, that's very uncanny that you know what's in the film. And I said, no, it's not. I have this tendency, ladies and gentlemen, to go off down rabbit trails, and I've gone off into discussing the Obama Deception 2 that we're just going to put out. I have not put out a film since Fall of the Republic 5 years ago that was my film. We put out Strategic Relocation. It's a documentary, but I'm the host of it, but I didn't make it. Really. The Office did, the news crew did, and that's not really what you call a documentary. It's more of a presentation / documentary. But I will put it out. All right, let me reset here. Guys, print me all the Ventura numbers because she just gave me another one to call, and I need to call their back phone number And I forget which one it is. I'll know it when I see it, so just print me all the numbers. Cell phones, everything. Just bring it in there because I got to call her during the break. Sorry. I don't mean to mention that on air. It's just that then I'll go to break for 4 minutes and won't have time to call and get that set up. Okay. Literally, this is a totally transparent radio show. We could do a reality TV show, but have it be live. Because reality TV is not really reality TV in most cases. And just you'd see the behind the scenes. And I mean, what goes on here on air is what's going on off air. Because I have the weird position of being basically the main producer of my own radio show with the other sub-producers that do a great job and then trying to run everything else at the same time. And I've tried to turn over control of a lot of stuff to people so that I can get more done. And we're in that process right now. So I'm almost having a managerial meeting here on air, and I will now segue out of that. Let's restart the radio show, ladies and gentlemen.
Obama. You got Obama phone?
Yes, everybody in Cleveland, low minority, got Obama phone.
He gave us a phone. He's going to do more. She's really a very sweet lady. I enjoy going out to dinner with her and her husband, Harvey. And she's really hurt that she thought that her ship had come in. She works as a maid, cleaning up to 5 houses a day, and got hit with the Obama payroll tax and didn't want to throw him under the bus on TV or radio, but actually got tears in her eyes before she left when she was here about a year ago. And she said, you know, I'll get to talk about this today. I'll bring this up. She said, you know, I really been working really hard, and I really thought he was going to help us. And she had tears in her eyes. And I just thought about how sweet she is, but how childlike folks are that I don't mean that in a mean way, but innocent, that buy into these kleptocrats' fraud and lies. That's what it comes down to. And so I think she's going to feature even more prominently. She was already in the Obama Deception 2, that's sitting back there basically done, that I'm not going to release. I guess I could release that and then call it Obama Deception 3. That's an idea. Release the Obama Deception 2, like Hollywood does sometimes, and then 2 months later release the third part. That's the brand new film. But no, I'm not going to do that. See, this is not a scripted radio show, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a scripted radio show. There's no teleprompters here. There's no talking points here. And so sometimes I, again, segue off. Let me give you the headlines here that are coming up. The Ebola situation, when I was reading these headlines this morning from mainstream news sources, sent chills up my spine. Ebola. Spider's web of infection is growing as hunt continues for 30,000 victims of outbreak. 30,000 victims. The previous top pandemics for this stuff in African countries were a couple thousand. I mean, this is getting crazy. U.S. Peace Corps volunteers exposed to Ebola. CBS News. Liberia shuts schools, considers quarantine to curb Ebola. African countries are locking down their borders. But if we even mention controlling our borders so Ebola doesn't get in, Geraldo Rivera, who I don't even want to attack, he's told me he listens to the show sometimes. And you know, he's been friendly to me on and off air. We've heard him say he's been a listener on air. I don't agree with a lot of his policies, but I grew up watching Geraldo Rivera. And I don't want to attack Geraldo Rivera, but I mean, it's just pure bull. Boston hospitals training staff to watch for signs of Ebola virus, CBS News. I guess that's because they're racist in Boston. It's like if you don't want Chinese chicken being shipped in that's been rotten for 13 days and then has chemicals put on it that makes people sick. I've even seen news articles saying, is the backlash against Chinese chicken racist? I feel like if you caught a Chinese person robbing your garage, they'd say on the news, he called the police because he's racist. It's like when I caught 2 black guys being paid off by the local Democratic gun control group. It made the front page of the paper. The paper calls up and the reporter goes, it wasn't a black guy, it was a Hispanic guy. And he goes, Mr. Jones, you did this because these are black men, right? I said, excuse me? He goes, well, you you shot this video and showed all this happening because they were black. I said, excuse me? He said, you wouldn't have shown this video, they've been white. And I said, of course I would. It's a white guy paying them off. I said, the Ethics Commission says it's illegal. And one of my listeners ran in the committee room and said he's out here paying the people to testify. $100 bills. There was stacks of them. And I ran out and caught it on video. And their answer was, why are you racist? And the paper said, is Alex Jones racist is the question. I mean, that's cult-like, ladies and gentlemen. That's cult-like control. Ebola has already made it to the U.S. They've already quarantined people. They're covering it up. It's already made it to Germany. And I'm racist if I talk about it. Again, we were talking during the break, so I re-aired that from 6 months ago about how incredibly racist we all are here at Infowars.com for criticizing Chinese chicken. Because that's come out in the Chinese press that it's just the West doesn't like Chinese people. This is what political correctness is, that you don't respond to the fact that your chicken's tainted, which then came out 2 weeks ago that McDonald's, Pizza Hut, and a big other group of food chains are buying chicken and other meat products that are rotten. Rotten. That's why they process it. That's why they put all the fillers in it and all the chemicals and irradiate it. But it's still very toxic, ladies and gentlemen, in many cases. Now, how do you change the subject? You just say that we're anti-China. Remember back when Clinton was giving them L'Oreal and Hughes technology? I was on the air in 96, 97, 98, when the only media that would criticize Obama was the Washington Times and Matt Drudge of DrudgeReport.com. Just giving credit where it's due. People ask, why is the show Drudge obsessed? I mean, who isn't? I mean, it gets more traffic than the New York Times. It's the new New York Times, and it's promoting freedom. And they would expose the missile secrets, and I would get Judicial Watch on, and I would break big news. And then they had CNN pieces saying, is Judicial Watch or is Alex Jones, one of the first times I was on national TV, or other groups like WorldNet Daily, this is like in 98, 99, are they racist against Chinese people? And again, I bring this up not to defend myself from charges of racism. It shows how naked this is. You don't like Obamacare, you're racist. You don't want to turn your guns in, you're the new Ku Klux Klan. And I just keep restating that because it's a fraud, folks. If you're anti-human, you're for Obamacare with the death panels, the rationing of care that they have now been caught doing, and we told you they were doing years ago. At the VA, with our whistleblowers, they have death list. That's a death panel. That's what Bill Gates promotes. He helped come up with Obamacare with Rahm Emanuel's brother, Ezekiel Emanuel, who admitted on Fox News the plan is to wreck health care. If I said my plan was to wreck a competitor in a company with dirty tricks, I could be arrested for organized crime racketeering. But when Media Matters memo comes out 3 years ago with their plan to wreck the Drudge Report and wreck InfoWars and wreck News Corp, and I'm not defending News Corp, but they're on the list, did they get in trouble? They said, we'll even infiltrate media we don't like from within and destroy it. That means they'll get people hired or making stuff up. I mean, it's like what they did to Tommy Chong. They got an informant hired into his bong shop, his water pipe shop, and then had them mail bongs to the few counties where it's illegal to put him in jail. It's a setup, folks. And it's the same thing, but they don't get in trouble. It's so epic. There really is a war. It really is happening now. It will decide humanity's fate. We are the resistance. That means you. We are the info war. Let that sink in. There's no secret room of patriots out there, folks. that are running around trying to restore the republic. Look in the mirror. We're it. And if you want stability and you don't like the West starting a war with Russia, you're a KGB agent. If you don't want your borders wide open and the country collapsing, and 8 out of 10 new births in the country being to illegal aliens, that's in the news today, you're a racist. If you don't like the wealth transfer of having to pay for all this while veterans can't even get health care that work in my office from the VA, you're a racist. If you don't like rotten chicken out of China, you're a racist. If you don't do whatever you're told, you are politically incorrect. You are a thought criminal. I mean, that is such authoritarianism. And it's so transparent. And in truth, it doesn't even work on the general public. It works on some of the young trendies out there that were brought up in front of television and don't even know how to take care of themselves. And it works on some of the dumbed down people that have been on welfare for 3-4 generations and have no idea what planet they're on and sit around eating MSG and aspartame all day. But most people that are actually smart are so self-centered and have decided there's no way to fix it. They're just off running their businesses, running their lives, hoping somebody else fixes it. The most common thing I hear from families in airports or walking down the street or at the grocery store or at the mall buying my kids' shoes is, thank God you're here. Thank God you're out there. I'm glad you're working for us. And it'll be special forces people, helicopter pilots, airline pilots, doctors. When I flew back in from England about 1.5 years ago, I was being interrogated by the customs lady who knew full well who I was. And an airline captain just walks over, shaking my hand, saying, thank God you're there. We really appreciate you. And that made her mad because the airline pilots said, if you don't stop harassing us and grabbing our genitals and searching us, we're just not going to fly. You trust us with the aircraft that, you know, is the equivalent of thousands of pounds of TNT. It's a huge flying missile, 600 miles an hour. We're not going to do this anymore. So they hate the fact that they've rebelled and said, we're humans, treat us as if we're guilty until proven innocent. I'm being sarcastic. Treat us as if we're innocent until proven guilty. And so they're left alone. And it just deflated her ego, smiling at me, laughing at me, messing with me. McAdoo was standing right there. She flew back in with me. She went to England with me. And it was just that human interaction, though, to show that we had solidarity that ruined it for that bad customs lady that was messing with me. And that's why we've got to reach out to each other and meet with each other and promote organizations. And everybody who's a patriot should start an Access TV show or a news website or a local blog or an audio blog or buy time on local radio. It's so inexpensive. So you can start having meetings and barbecues and get 10, 20, 30, 100, 1,000 people together and be a leader in your area because people need to come together. But it's a paradox. I'm not just demonizing the customs people. I flew back in from the Caribbean a month ago, and I've told this story. And now there's computers in Houston. And I was watching everybody else. They didn't get a big black X on theirs. I got a big black X to be searched and everything torn apart. And I got up there to the customs guy, and he was a listener, a retired veteran who went back into federal service after 9/11 because he lost a family member at the World Trade Center towers. And he said, basically, I used to listen to you and think you were nuts, but now it's all come true. And by the way, you're not the only one. I watch them harass citizens and other people that are obviously on some political list. It's these bleeping computers. It's what you said, robots taking over. This is a load of bull. You can go. They let the illegals through here all day. I'm not allowed to stop them, but I'm supposed to tear through your stuff or congressman's stuff, basically, to paraphrase. But see, soon there won't even be a human there. It will just be men in black uniforms will run out and drag me away to be interrogated. And then maybe under NDAA, oh, where'd Alex go? Oh, he was detained permanently. And of course, they won't go after Alex Jones first. They'll go after just regular people first, and that's what they've been doing. And they're setting the precedent to see if they can start disappearing people. They've already started admitting they're spying on everything we do. It's totally illegal. They're not getting in trouble. So why not start unloosing and unleashing the dogs of tyranny? Cry havoc and let loose the dogs of war, to quote William Shakespeare. Why not? The average FBI, the average CIA, the average federal person is compartmentalized and is not overtly evil. But the compartments that matter are people that like to kill and like to torture. And of course that was always going to be turned against us when it was being used on innocent Iraqis and others. And I said, listen, this is going to end up coming home. This is going to end up being ubiquitous, and now it is. They call it pain compliance, to break your arms or taser you or strap you down. Retired Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs. I don't have to believe him. He's been in Esquire articles and you name it about it. But I know other people in the military that have confirmed this, and it came out in congressional testimony. But it was industrial level, torturing innocent people in Afghanistan and Iraq, taking them in an assembly line in to be tortured. And sometimes the people didn't come out, folks. Keeping people locked up for months inside cages the sizes of their bodies, inflicting serious forms of psychological trauma. What do they call it when you're scared of closed spaces? Claustrophobia, yeah. Before they take you out and hook electrodes to your genitals. And they got away with all that, folks. You're like, well, it was against the enemy. Now it's going to come home. See, anything we allow to be done to other people will end up coming back on us. That's why George Washington didn't torture people. That's why George Washington didn't attack women and children. That's why George Washington hung members of his army that did things like that. Not just because it was justice, but because he needed the psyop of the moral high ground. And he knew the British soldiers were his best ally committing atrocities against the colonists. And that's what turned the tide, was the atrocities. And in our name, the atrocities are being committed and publicized all over the world on purpose by the globalists to bring down this country in the final equation. They hate us more than they hate other independent nations. They hate bitter clingers. They hate veterans. They've told you they hate you. Do you think you're just going to go torture people? And then you're going to come home and the system isn't going to be scared of you? The cowards that send you to do the dirty work and do the hard jobs, to traumatize you and to make you serve 5, 6, 7, 8 tours or more? You're going to be betrayed. You are being betrayed. And that's the moral of this story. You don't win selling out to the system, ladies and gentlemen. You lose your honor. But just as important, even if you don't have honor, you end up losing the stability of the nation and the future. Because when everybody sells out, the bottom falls out. And there's nowhere to run. And there's no real economy anymore. Everything's based on fraud. Confidence is lost and everything collapses. I don't get up here and criticize the system to discredit things and make things collapse. I get up here and expose it so that it can be reformed. I've had top professors on and off air and FBI agents and bankers and high-level people that don't like the establishment. Famous NASA engineers, famous software engineers, people worth hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars at dinner parties and things tell me, no, I know what you're saying is true, but what about the argument that as bad as the system is, a revolution generally is worse, and that you're just discrediting the system and bringing it down faster? That's what Agenda 21 and Cloward and Piven and things like that are, is the philosophy of the controlled collapse to bring down the old system, because despite the fact that it has problems, it isn't 1/10 as evil as what the globalists want. So I'm trying to reform the republic. I'm trying to restore the republic. I'm a counter-revolutionary. I believe most of you are, if you really look in the mirror. But at the same time, the globalists have already taken over so much and already overthrown the old republic to such an extent that I am a revolutionary, because I'm a revolutionary against those that think they're the rightful controllers and have a right to be tyrants. So I have a leg in both camps here. I'm trying to fix things peacefully. I'm trying to talk to the establishment, sectors of it that aren't criminally insane and who don't have a lust to bring down society. They just want to control things and be rich and powerful and have stability. And they've done a lot of bad things to maintain that. But do they really want to bring in a communist revolution? Do they really want to bring it all crashing down, knowing how hellish it'll be? Do we really want to slit America's throat? And the obvious answer is no. But if the globalist camp that wants radical revolution, the George Soros crowd, who wants to really conquer this country, if they win and start a civil war between the police and the citizens, between the paramilitary and the citizens, it's the only way they have a shot at winning. And it is going to be hell on earth. And we're already seeing the destabilization campaign. We're already seeing the mass buildup. It's very clear they have their finger on the trigger to false flag, blame the liberty movement, roll out race war in the Southwest, have regular army come in as the cover to maintain order, and then, after people have accepted martial law, or they'll call it civil emergency, start the political roundups of both left and right in the name of stability. And then it will shift into a pure roundup of libertarians in the next phase. Now, that's their main plan. I've reverse engineered it, and you better listen to me, folks, because in this civil war, and the Rand Corporation's done some numbers on this as well years ago, but in a civil war in this country, it's estimated that several million will die. And I would not want to be in the U.S. military or a police officer if this kicks off. And I take no pleasure saying that you are to be decimated. That's not my plan. That's the globalist plan. And you will be decimated probably fivefold. Decimated only means 10%. Comes from when if a unit did something wrong, the Romans would kill a certain percentage of the people in the unit as punishment to all. I mean, I'd say you might get half the cops killed or wounded. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then, of course, the globalists will sit back watching you in phase one being wiped out by the gun owners, and the gun owners being wiped out, and all hell breaking loose. And I'm just so frustrated by all this unfolding. I mean, you look at the stack of news on what's happening with the border, it's totally transparent now. It's premeditated. It's accelerating, and nothing's being done. Ebola is now becoming a global pandemic outbreak danger. We're going to get into that. Liberia warns of global Ebola pandemic. CBS News. The dollar is being devalued at an accelerated rate. The West is funding the overthrow of stable governments everywhere. The military is being prepared for war with the American people publicly. Been going on quietly for a long time. Now it's public. The neocons are running around saying you're a KGB agent if you don't support nuclear war with Russia. Yeah, they're preparing a new financial meltdown and more banker bailouts. I mean, we need to turn back now. We need to just stop now. This needs to stop. We need to get off this ride right now.
City of Austin tap water versus filtered City of Austin tap water. I can taste dirt in it.
God knows what's in this.
This has an aftertaste.
Tastes like Austin water? Yeah, it does. Ah.
These people just sampled City of Austin tap water straight from the faucet. Next, we had them try a sample of tap water filtered through the Pro Pure G2.0 filtration system.
High quality H2O.
That one is better.
Tastes like nothing.
Yep, I know what good water tastes like. It's good water.
Most tap water contains added substances like fluoride, chlorine, Monsanto's deadly pesticide, glyphosate, and many others. Studies prove that these substances are linked to an assortment of major health issues, including tooth decay, lowered IQ, and even cancer.
It tastes like you're drinking out of the lake when you're drinking tap water.
Yeah, it has that processed flavor to it.
The Pro Pure G2.0 filtration system removes these deadly substances and many more, leaving only fresh-tasting, deliciously clean water.
Okay, this is very tasty.
It's good water.
Refreshing.
It's good.
Go to InfoWarsStore.com today. Use promo code WATER and save 10% off your Pro Pure purchase. Again, that's InfoWarsStore.com or call 1-888-253-3139.